Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name is Betsy and I wanted to make a short video here and talk a little bit about the videos that you will be seeing on my channel and to give you a little bit of history and information about the vintage estate that I bought all of this clothing from. 4 years ago, I ran across an ad in my local Facebook garage sale things online sales group, and it was a picture, a very bad picture of a big closet in a house in a town near where I live, and it said vintage clothing, all of this vintage clothing for $1,000. That was what the offer was for. Give me the $1,000 and then you can go upstairs and get all the vintage clothing. And I'm like, this is a really strange ad, but yet I'm also very much intrigued. And so I sent the man a message and I asked my husband, I'm like, are you going to be able to go with me? Because I'm scared. I'm afraid. You need to come with me. And he said, sure, yeah, of course, I'll go with you. And so I set up a time the next evening to go over and see all this vintage clothing in this closet. So yeah, I went over with my husband and we went to the house, and it was a house and it was full of just stuff, just all kinds of stuff. Everything imaginable was never thrown out. Everything was there, but no junk. I mean, it was a very clean house. It just had a lot of stuff. And I went upstairs. He took me through the house. We went up to the main bedroom and he had the closet open, the doors were off, and it was full of clothing. And he was really nice, let me see the clothing before I gave him the $1,000. So I went in and I just took a quick look through and I was just like, yeah, okay, yeah, we can make a deal. And before we made the deal on that, he goes, look, I'm trying to, my mother had a stroke. She's 94, she had a stroke. I'm not from Pennsylvania. I'm not living in Pennsylvania, which is the state I live in. I'm living in Florida, and I just need to liquidate everything so I can have money to put my mom in this care home because she can't live on her own anymore. So it's so much stuff. I got to sell the house, but I got to get rid of the stuff first. And we just got to talking, and so we ended up making a deal, and I bought everything in the bedroom that was clothing, purses, shoes, hats, whatever, in the bedroom and the main bedroom. And I don't even know what I bought at this point. I knew that I thought, oh, I bought enough stuff that I could make my investment back. And so I took 18 contractor bags out of that house that night. My husband, myself, and the gentleman who I bought from helped just threw these everything in bags. And he was just going through and he was just like, you want my grandmother's underwear? You want my mom's underwear? You want everything in this drawer? You want everything in that drawer? And so what I thought I initially bought became even bigger of a buy because he just wanted to get rid of stuff. But he didn't want to give it away or throw it away. So it ended up being a huge buy. And I was so overwhelmed with it, and I thought, this is never going to happen again. I mean, I have done estate buys before, much smaller. Like, you could find some things at an auction, and I would go and I would buy the whole closet in a house or whatever at an auction. But it was never anything in my life like this. And so that's how the channel started. I just started stupidly videotaping myself opening up these bags that I didn't know what was in them and sharing that with whoever wanted to watch, right? And also it's like a diary, so I can go back and watch and go, oh my gosh, look at what I pulled out of this house. And that's how it all started 4 years ago, and that was Catherine's estate. I did many buys out of the house. I found many amazing things. There are things that I just stopped videoing at some point and didn't show you everything. 100% of everything I brought out of that house, but it was pretty amazing. And that was 4 years ago. Well, it happens that Catherine had 2 houses. And I knew about the second house before he went back to Florida and left. And he just wasn't ready to liquidate that house yet. He did let me in the house. I did do some clothing picking on the last buy that I was there. So I had an idea what was coming my way, but I never thought I would actually get a call back. Well, November 2025, 4 years later, he called me. He goes, I'm coming back to Pennsylvania. He hasn't been back in 4 years. I need to clean out that house and sell it. Are you still buying clothing and textiles? And I said, yes. And so he's like, great. I'll call you when I get there. I said, great. And so in November of 2025, I went to Catherine's second house and started buying the clothing that was in her mother's house. That was her mother's house across the street. And she died in 1997. Mary, her name was Mary. She died in 1997. And Catherine never cleaned the house out, never sold the house, just left everything as it was and started hoarding her stuff over across the street in her mother's house. So I am still finding things from Catherine in that house. I am finding things from Mary in that house. Mary worked in a sewing factory. She sewed clothing her whole life. She has tons of textiles in that house, fabrics, because she sewed at home also. The house was just also hoarded with, I'm going to say hoarded because they kept everything. They didn't throw anything out, but it was very clean. So I don't want people to get the idea that when I use the word hoard that it's like trash and like rot and disgusting dirtiness. I would not say that that was either Mary's house or Catherine's house. Very clean, but they just kept everything. And that was just the generation, how they grew up. Blows my mind that somebody had so much. I've really literally taken out thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of pieces of clothing, both from Mary now and from Catherine. And if you remember, Georgine was Catherine's daughter who died in 1972 when she was, I believe, 23. And they did not get rid of any of, they didn't get rid of any of Georgine's clothing at all. So if you go back and you look through some of the older videos from 4 years ago, you will see me finding Georgine's clothing. And Georgine was a model. She worked locally at some different department stores, so she would model the clothing and then she got to keep the clothing. And so I would be finding her clothing. I'm still finding her clothing stored away in her mother's house. It's just been crazy. And now the house, there's no more house, there's no more houses. I'm very sad, but there's not like a secret third house somewhere. It's over now. And so I am videoing the rest of the buys that I've done now from Catherine's mother's house across the street. So that is what you're seeing. You're seeing a lot of Catherine's things from that was stored in Mary's house. And then you're seeing a lot of Mary's things that Mary just kept all these years. It's just mind-blowing, and I don't have a lot of space for all this, but yeah, I just can't not buy it, because this is what I do for a living. This is how I make my living. So yeah, so that's kind of the story of where all this clothing is coming from. Yeah, that's the story. I had some people asking me about Catherine. Catherine is still alive. She's 98 now. She's still living in the personal care home, but she is in memory support. So she is not doing well memory-wise, but she is still alive. I have never met Catherine. I just felt like that might be maybe a line that I didn't want to cross. I didn't know if it would be upsetting for her to meet me. I thought it would have been really, really cool to have done a fashion show of the different eras. of Mary and Catherine's clothes. And, you know, that would have been really cool. I thought, oh, wouldn't it be really cool if I could get enough models together and do a fashion show at the personal care home for, you know, the ladies who were there. And then I just thought, well, I don't know where I would find enough models. And that was such a big undertaking. And to be honest with you, the amount of clothing that I have to go through and process is a huge undertaking of itself. So I just thought, that's a nice dream, but I don't think that's going to be happening right now for me anyway. But yes, Catherine's still alive. She's a little round bowling ball. That's how her son describes her, that she's a little round bowling ball. And you look back at her clothing and she was very small and petite, and now she's a little round bowling ball. So that's just what happens to ladies as we get older. But one of the things, so it's not just me talking at you, one of the things I do want to kind of talk a little bit about right here in this video is some of the older clothing that I've been finding in Mary's house that were Catherine's when Catherine was younger as a teenager. She was a teenager in the 1940s. She had Georgine in 1949. So I'm guessing she got married maybe in 1947, 48, somewhere around there. I'm not 100% sure anymore of their date that she got married. So she would have been a teenager in the 40s. So I ran across in one of the little trash bags that they had where they bundled everything up and tied it and then stuck pins in it. I found this beautiful rayon 1940s top in there, and I know that Catherine must have done all of that work. That's hand done for sure. So Catherine must have done all of that on that little rayon top. And of course it's small because she would have been a teenager at that point. But it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Now, what I'm finding is a lot of the clothing from the 40s and that era, it did not hold up well. I think they were probably pretty rough on their clothing, and I'm hoping to make some more videos of the older stuff that I'm finding and the condition that I've been finding it in. But as you can see, I mean, this is some of Catherine's from that 1940s era when she was a teenager. And it's just absolutely, it's beautiful. It's amazing to me that it was so well kept all these years. And this little dress here, little 40s dress. And you can see once again, there's that side metal zipper on that. And that is definitely, this is definitely 1940s. It's got the padded shoulders in it right here, which is true 1940s fashion right there. And then of course the beautiful little embroidery. I think she did that herself. And this is one of the things that I really love about finding vintage clothing is the history that goes along with finding the vintage clothing. You can tell a lot about a person, you know, about their life. It's just so fascinating to me and interesting. And that's one of the things I love about collecting, selling, and just hunting for vintage clothing. And I love finding it with living estates and finding it at auctions. Finding it at the thrift store is always fun, but if you could get some information when you find it from like family members or whoever, you know, is there with the estate, you know, you get a story like, oh, well, you know, these were my mother's, you know, gabardine pants that she wore when she was a WAC. And that's her uniform that she wore when she was in, you know, the military during wartime. All that stuff is what I really love about finding vintage clothing and pictures and finding out about people's lives. So I'm hoping to share that a little bit of information about the clothing that I am showing you and the estate that it's coming out of. I appreciate you watching my videos. It's always fun, and sharing and leaving comments. I have a lot of people asking me where I sell. I do sell online, just currently on eBay and sometimes on Poshmark. Poshmark is like, So my links are there. If I can remember, I will put it in the description underneath this video. If not, if you click on the Heavens to Betsy, it goes to the home page, and then the links are on the home page. My battery is going to die, and I'm going to end this video here, and just want to let you know that I have a video coming out soon. And thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye!